Over the last year or so, Xiaomi has been really pushing its Mi brand in India. Before that, it was all about Redmi, and as you know, Redmi is everywhere in India. So last year they started off with the Mi 10, which was their flagship for the year. The latter half of the year, they came out with the Mi 10T, which is basically a variant of this phone but with some interesting new specs. But now, it's January 5th, first new product of 2021, and that's the new Mi 10i with the I standing for India. You're watching Warpcore. My name is Sahil Mohan Gupta, and let's figure out if this phone is worth your attention. So, many people will say that this phone is basically a rebranded Redmi Note 9 Pro 5G. Many Gurujis say that. Well, they're technically Guruji like, but like all Gurujis in India, you know what they are. Well, who cares if this phone is a rebranded version of the Redmi Note 9 Pro 5G from China, because what matters is how good the phone is. The name really doesn't matter, and rebranding happens all the time everywhere. Often we see Renault rebrand Nissans in India. If you look at the Toyota Glanza in India, well, it's a rebranded Maruti Baleno. Who cares? What's really important is if this product is good or not. And there's some really interesting bits about this product. I've been using it for the last couple of days. This is not a full review per se, but kind of a first impressions. The biggest thing about this phone is the 108 megapixel camera, which was there on the Mi 10T and also Mi 10. So they've kind of democratized that 108 megapixel camera experience, and it's a pretty killer camera. Insane levels of detail, great dynamic range, and it provides really warm saturated colors, which may not be of the liking of a lot of people, but I like it. That's what matters, right? And it has 3 more cameras, so it's pretty versatile. You get an ultra wide, you get a macro and a depth sensor, even though those two not exactly are required. But what really is important is it does a killer portrait mode, pretty decent night mode. It's got some really great photography effects, sky effects, that can completely transform the photo and make it look really, really real. And generally the camera will work wonders in all kinds of situations. It's also a pretty mean camera to have if you're really interested in video. And you get all this at a maximum price of 23,990. Now 23,990 is for this variant, which is the 8GB RAM version, 128GB of UFS 2.2 storage. What also makes this phone really interesting is the fact that it gets the Qualcomm Snapdragon 750G. Now Xiaomi claims it's shared some benchmarks which claim that this phone is apparently faster than phones that are powered by the 765G, which is on phones like the OnePlus Nord. Now that's going to be pretty insane, because already this phone gets a better camera system than the Nord, and Nord is upwards of 25,000 rupees. So if it can perform better, then that's the ultimate deal, right? Well, it does one more thing better. Now this 6.677 inch display has got a 120 Hz refresh rate. Sure, it's not an OLED screen, it's a typical LCD, but 120 Hz is better than 90 Hz. It feels really, really fluid, and it refreshes dynamically, which is really, really important, so that it can kind of not get stuck at just 120 Hz. It can conserve battery and ramp down the frame rate when the display is not actually pushing so many frames. So overall, it's a pretty decent display. I do find it a little washed out, and what really bugs me about this display more than the washed out nature of the screen are the bezels, because there's kind of a sameness to all Xiaomi phones. They look all the same once you've held them. And on the back you get this really wild Pacific blue finish, which I really, really like. It feels really supple. It's glass obviously, but feels so nice. It's got a very nice gradient. It does get a few fingerprint smudges out here, but not as much as some of the other phones like the Mi 10T, which is disastrous from that perspective. You get a pretty capacious battery as well, 4780 mAh. It will provide you around 15 to 16 hours of use time. And yes, inside the box, you also get something that Apple has stopped providing. Yes, I'm talking about a power brick. Yes, this. And 33 watts, so it charges pretty rapidly. You also get a Tpu case, which is a hallmark of Xiaomi's products. Pretty decent Tpu case out here. It's not going to cost a lot if you get your own, but it fits pretty snugly, and yeah, it's decent. Yeah, and it feels nice when pushed up against this finish. So you also get, by the way, a headphone jack. General day-to-day performance is excellent. You're not going to feel any kind of slowdowns. You can have multiple tabs open inside Chrome, 20, 30, in fact more than even your desktop browser. And you can even play high resolution games, and it's not going to give a lot of hits. Sure, it's not going to look as gorgeous as an iPhone 12 Pro Max or even a Mi 10T for that matter, which is rocking a Snapdragon 865 chip, but it will do the job for most people. And at the same time, it also supports 5G, which is kind of irrelevant right now in India. But if you intend to keep this phone for a couple of years, then that's going to come into play. So overall, at its price, I am sensing, even though this is just a first impression, this is going to become the new king of that sub 25,000 price point, because you get great specs, a reliable brand, you get over 2,000 Xiaomi service centers across India. So Xiaomi is everywhere. You even get a very nice fingerprint scanner, which is embedded on this power button out here. So that's also pretty cool. And no ads. Like, sure, you get the typical Xiaomi bloatware out here, but since this is a Mi branded phone, so no ads. And just a little word for Mr. Technical Guruji, who has said that this phone is overpriced in India, coming if you are kind of looking at the Redmi Note 9 Pro 5G in China. Well, there are a couple of things that he does discount out here. Firstly, Redmi branded phones get ads. Xiaomi makes money out of those ads. Since this is a Mi branded phone, not as many ads, let's say that. So it is losing out on that money. Then generally products are cheaper in China than India. India, you are seeing more assembly happening than full manufacturing, even though now Xiaomi has started to make the PCB boards in India, and a lot of the components are being made in India. Yeah, so overall, if you look at that, there's not much of a price difference, it's just 3K, which in the scheme of things can be quite huge. You know, that basically it'll sort of make it reach in the range of the Pixel 4a or something like that. But still, even keeping that in mind, it's not a bad deal at all. It's a great phone right now, and this camera actually can give that Pixel 4a camera a run for its money. So if you find the Pixel 4a is too small for you because it's a kind of a compact phone, it's got a smaller battery life, maybe it's not as performant because that's just a 730G, this phone is going to really up the ante. And definitely I feel this phone is going to give a lot of heart attacks to the OnePlus Nord. So keep a watch out for it if your budget is under 25,000. Peace. Over and out. My name is Sahil Mohan Gupta, and if you just happen to like this video, like and subscribe. In the case you didn't like it, you can use the other button as well.